And I'm the president of the Young Professionals Network of the Urban Abuse Massachusetts. Thank you so much for coming out to our town hall tonight. Please give yourselves a round of applause for coming out on Thursday after work. Give yourselves a round of applause for being civically and socially engaged. I do want to take a quick moment to say thank you to our co-partner, which is Ms. Tayla Andre. Tayla, you want to come and say a few words? Thank you for coming. Thank you very much. So this is going to be the first in a series of town halls that we're going to discuss a strategy for change, specifically with Boston Police Department, but overall with departments within the city of Boston in terms of how they deal with POCs, which is people of color and people of the African diaspora specifically. So I do want to encourage you, if you have not signed our sign-in sheet, to make sure that you do sign on the sign-in sheet so we can have your information, so we can make sure to keep you in the loop and make sure that you are well informed of the progress that we have, and the action items that we hopefully will come up with today, and with the solutions and the results of those action items further on down the road. I do not want to be remiss and say thank you to Councilor Ayan Presley for coming here. Thank you very much. I do want to make sure that you guys pay attention. She has left some information on the table specifically regarding her response to the video that we're going to be discussing in part today, and also to her hearing on listening only hearing for our girls, which is happening on September 11th at 4:30 at the Bospoli building. So please make sure that information is on the table. Make sure that you take that information, and share it with your network. It's also on her Facebook page, so go on her Facebook page and share it with your networks as well. Let's make sure we pack this building so people can see that we care about our young girls within the school system. Okay, so we're going to get started here, and I'm going to do a brief introduction of our speakers. So the first person that we have here on the panel is Ms. Denise DePeter-Reed. Denise DePeter-Reed was born in Boston City Hospital and has lived in Boston for over 60 plus years. She is a grandmother who has spent the latter part of her life committed to helping her community and others. Ms. DePeter-Reed is a 32-year retired member of the Boston Police Department, where she taught drug education in the Boston Public Schools under the DARE program, as well as patrolled the streets of Boston. Ms. DePeter-Reed has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Curry College. She is currently the vice president of the Massachusetts Association of Minority Law Enforcement Officers, Incorporated, and was the first woman chairperson of the board of directors of NAMLIA. Ms. DePeter-Reed is also a member of the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Officers, Incorporated. Ms. DePeter-Reed is a producer, engineer, and broadcast host of the radio broadcast program At the Round Table with NAMLIA, which can be heard on WBPGLB 102.9 FM Boston Praise Radio on Saturday mornings, and also at Facebook Live too, right? Yes, very early on Facebook Live. Thank you for being here, Ms. DePeter-Reed. Next, we have Mr. Darnell Williams, a well-respected community leader. Darnell Williams is the president and CEO of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, a nonprofit organization providing services and programs in education, career, and personal development and employment for African Americans and other residents of color. Mr. Williams earned his master's degree in organizational development from Boston University after completing his undergraduate degree at American International College in Springfield, Massachusetts. Prior to joining the Urban League, Mr. Williams was manager of management recruitment and development at Massachusetts General Hospital, as well as diversity consulting in private practice. Mr. Williams is president of the Springfield branch of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, also known as NAACP, and served as the president of the NAACP U.S. Area Conference. In 2011, the Urban League of Massachusetts paved the way for additional conferences of color to come to Boston by hosting the National Urban League Annual Conference in Boston after a 35-year absence. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Last but not least, we have Shagun Idowu, who is the leader of the Boston Police Camera Action Team, and because Shagun is actually here as a favor to us, we had one of our panelists, Ms. Tia Martin from the Boston Diversity Council. She had to remove herself last minute, but he graciously asked to mention first. I'm going to have Shagun give a quick introduction.
I'm Shagun. One of Boston.
Wow.
Save my race.
Really?
Happy to be here.
Well, I'll provide your bio. Yeah, I'll write your bio, exactly.
Shigan. Born and raised in Boston. Also a member of the NAACP, cat, co-founder. But really, it doesn't really. Bios are, I'm here.
Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. We do have one more panelist coming this month, Cannon, but she is coming from work, so she will be here momentarily. So once she gets here, I'll do a brief introduction. Until that time, we're going to open the audience to questions, and I believe we have one question already.
Actually, no. So I just handed you out the index cards. We do ask that if you have questions for the panelists, I will take those cards from you. Right now, we're going to actually start with Tayla for some questions, and then we just ask that you bring your cards down the line.
Did everybody watch the video? No? Yes.
Is it my goal standard?
So let's start there.
I saw that.
My question is to each of the panelists, when you saw this video, how did it make you feel?
When I originally saw the video, like most folks, I think the first segment of the video was spooky and it did not have any problems. But then when I saw the black women and then the black men being portrayed in the latter part of the video, and then the caption of "Look out, you met your match," that's when it went down off of a cliff. So obviously to me it was very, very disturbing. So how I felt, not only was it disturbing, it crossed the line of being something that was worthy. It wasn't funny by any stretch of the means. And yet the question is that what do you do with it now that it is out there? And how do you deal with that from a discipline standpoint of view? But my feelings of seeing it initially was not happy. And on behalf of African Americans or people of color or anybody that's being portrayed in that kind of a light or in that context is wrong.
Poorly made. It wasn't really done together correctly. But obviously, offensive towards the end, as we all just saw. But I think also reflective of. Here's the thing: is that in their minds, they made it as Mr. Rose alluded to, a spoof. But also, they thought it was funny, and obviously they have friends that thought it was funny. So I thought it was also indicative of a line of thinking that they and a lot of their colleagues who their colleagues share. So that's really what I was thinking more about. But mostly it was poorly made.
Police department for 32 years, so this type of behavior is not new to me. In 2009, a police officer by the name of Justin Barrett said that of an esteemed professor, Mary Louis Gates, banana-eating jungle monkey. So that brought back something to me. I wasn't happy. But more importantly, I wasn't happy with the way the situation was handled. I was angry and I was upset because here we go again. For me, it's about policy. If you take and you Google police departments, discrimination, emails, anything of that nature, and you put it in, you're going to find that Bospoli is not unique. You're going to find that police departments across the country deal with this. They don't handle it very well. You're going to find that it's dedicated to white males. You're going to find that white men or women in general act this way. It's white males. And so what we need to do is we need to deal with a culture change within police departments. Not Boston, but police departments. And so when I saw that, it was, here we go again. And no matter what they did with Officer D'Angelo, we're going to have this again. We're going to be confronted with this again. Because they have not changed their policy, their culture.
Ma'am, do you want to?
Yes. So, Ms. Reed, based on your, yes. Based on your recent comment, as his behavior is not new, what is the disconnect on training and disciplinary action that could address that? And then the second part to that question is, there have been talks about the Citizens Review Council and the Officer Training Candidate Program. What does that look like given the state of affairs?
That over my head. Okay, I've been out for a while. All I can say is when I was in the academy, you were trained to deal with people in the same way you wanted to be treated. So I know they touch on things. I know they teach you how to act, how to deal with people. But this is a little bit like dealing with home. It's how do I want to say it? We're dealing with attitudes that come from home. You can't mask discrimination. You can't mask how you're treated at home. You can't turn it off. You're supposed to. When you come to work, whatever is going on at home, you leave it there. Your biases, your opinions, everything at home. You come to work and you deal with people appropriately. A lot of people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do that.
Thank you. Let's see. So then, let's talk about, were any of you contacted directly by the mayor's office? And if so, what did that exchange look like? Or the police commissioner's office?
I was contacted directly by both the mayor's office and the police commissioner's office as related to the video. And I had reviewed the video, and then subsequent, maybe a couple of days later, I got a call back begging. But before I answer or make another comment, I think the challenge that we have in our community is that each one of us have a different level of experiences. We have different opportunities to be involved in terms of advocacy. And over the years, in my role of serving as a fire commissioner and served 4 governors in the state and maybe 5 mayors. And so I've had the fortunate opportunity to be able to fire, to terminate, and to discipline people as a fire commissioner, State Department of Insurance, the MBTA, you name it, I've been there. So it's not like I'm sitting there saying I have a boatload of experience, but I do have a boatload of experiences for me. And as a result of that, when you come to firing, disciplining, and terminating someone, you have to draw upon those range of experiences of what leads up to termination and what leads in what I call high level of discipline, depending upon the serious nature of an offense. For example, I mentioned 2 police officers picked up a prostitute. They were in uniform. They put her in the car. They raped her, kicked her out of the car, and told her to go on about her business. Now, I'm not going to use the race of the officer, but the point is that that's conduct unbecoming of a police officer. Right? Now, is that something you slap them on the wrist or whatever? The answer is no. Or if you have another police officer who has a handcuffed suspect and kicks them with a shod foot, that means that you're kicking them while they're in custody and not providing any resistance. That's another situation of conduct unbecoming. So there are a lot of things. When we look at the experiences that we recently had in Boston with some of the high visibility shootings, where that the individuals end up being killed in the process, these are the kinds of investigation and experiences we need to review, think about, talk about, so you're not rushing to judgment based upon your reaction. So the video in particular is clearly offensive. I don't think anybody in their right mind that's conscious in this city would look at that video and say there was something right there. That's not the question. That's the easy question. The more deliberate question is, what do you do about it? And how do you use it either as a teachable moment, or do you say, let's get rid of this cancer because that is the end of it all? And as Denise stated in her comments, this is not unique to Boston. So we have to find a way to look at the options along the continuum and try to find a way, what's the best decision that's in the best interest of the city, and make sure that what we do is going to benefit all of us. Because clearly it's God made green apples. Somebody black and somebody brown and somebody yellow and somebody red is going to do something just like this, Jackson, and then they're going to need some assistance. So that's the way I look at it. I call it like I see it. And when I got the call, I tried to call it in a way that I'm looking at what was in the best interest of the city. And this is what I need to do.
Thank you very much. Ms. Reyes, would you like to respond?
Yeah.
I did not get a phone call, and I spoke to the president today. And what he said to me was that they asked him a question which was basically telling him what they were going to do. Then he sent out an email to our membership asking them how they want us to proceed with this. What were their feelings in regards to this incident? They did not go back, and what they were interested in was termination. They basically believed that was not going to happen, but they were interested in termination. Okay.
Mr. Sagan, do you have any insight into it?
So, I guess to the question of, well, okay, so no, the mayor and the commissioner did not reach out to me. We're not really on good terms. Even if they had, I probably would have done the same. I think someone who put something like that together should be fired. I am not forgiving racist chances because I think that's part of history is that someone doesn't be racist. Oh, sorry. All right, I know you want to. I didn't want to shut up. But I'm not forgiving racist chances. If I think the culture and society we live in right now, we all understand where the line is and what crossing it means. And I think actually what we see right now with what happened in Charlottesville and all these other so-called free speech rallies and the pushback of the right wing for a number of years against political. I can't remember the term right now, but there's this pushback on, well, just because you think it's offensive doesn't mean I shouldn't be allowed to say whatever I want. But the point is that what they did, it comes from racist ideas and how they view the community that they are paid with my tax dollars to serve, which is another thing that is forgotten, that they are to serve and protect the community rather than solely police it and treat it as a prison. I'll use the example that Mr. Williams used in terms of the cancer, in terms of not giving chances. If cancer is forming, the doctor does not say, well, it's where it is, and that's fine, so we're not going to do anything because it should just stay, and as long as it does that, that's good, we'll leave it where it is. No, if you find a cancer, you root it out, you take it out, and you get rid of it, and you do everything you can to keep it from coming back. And so, right. But the point is that you do what you can to get rid of the cancer, and for me, that kind of thinking is it shows that there is a cancer that has not, and we can have an argument one day about whether or not it can anyway be rooted out of just thinking in the white community towards other communities of color.
Using your analogy about cancer, so if we say that you have a doctor, of course, and in this case, the doctor would be our mayor, and then you have the specialist who pretty much is the one that's going to determine what that course of treatment looks like. So we've had Mayor Walsh say several times that racism will not be tolerated within the city. And this is the route that was taken, that you're going to give them a 6-month suspension, community service, and then, of course, add some additional supplemental training. And then, in addition to that, so we have other organizations that said he should flat out be terminated. So I come from corporate America, and we had at-will employment. I don't know if that's the case within the police force. We understand it's not. But what can we do as a community to create a strategy around the unjust rules and regulations as it relates to their employment? Because you're right, they're there to protect and serve, but more recently, they've been, praying against us and slaying us. So what does that look like for us as a community to create a plan so that if there is unjust behavior, that they're terminated versus just a slap on the wrist, 6 months suspension, and not even any indication as to what that training looks like or that supplemental training looks like?
So I'm just going to say that, so part of it is the union, right? So there's this at-will. The union is, in Massachusetts, we are very much for unions. Obviously, I am not part of a union. Unions do very great work. And, when it comes to the police, they do their job, I guess. They protect their folks. Unfortunately, that also means not allowing criminal justice to exist or to hold anybody accountable. It's like, no matter what, we're going to protect them. So I think that's one thing we have to remember, is that the unions play a very heavy role, although they're behind the scenes. The mayor is a very visible person, the commissioner, but the unions play a heavy role, so we have to kind of look at that as well. I will say that in terms of what the community can do to hold officers accountable, I know that it's been talked about a lot in this community for about 20 or 30 years now and never come to fruition, but a civilian review board. And we do have something like that exists, some version of that, called the Community Ombudsman Oversight Panel, which is supposedly supposed to do something along the lines of a civilian review board, which is a group of citizens from the community that, at least here in Boston, the internal affairs does an investigation if anyone has a complaint, and then they take a bunch of them and give them to the co-op to look at and say, were we right, yes or no? And then they submit a report of recommendations on, whether they were right. Here's how the mayor fix it next year. But a true civilian review board that exists in very few communities around the country, because again, unions are very strong, police unions are very strong, but civilian review boards, stronger ones, have subpoena power. They can choose what cases they're going to review. People have direct say in who's going to be on that board so that they actually represent the community. I think those things are necessary and important, and it gives power back to the community, where it's not just internal affairs, which are other cops, make sure that they're doing their job in order to hold them accountable. But now you have civilians who have the ability to do the same thing. And I think that here in Boston, we are ripe for moving in that direction. So, body cameras weren't going to prevent that. But civilian review board, I think, is one thing we should very strongly consider, especially in this election cycle coming up, and pushing that.
The other thing that hurt this was the community itself. The community should have, if this was something that really bothered them, they should have came forward. They should have spoken up. They should have stood up. Okay? Wasn't enough to be outraged on Facebook. Wasn't enough. They should have, like Mary Franklin, went 10,000 deep at City Hall, Boston Police Headquarters. They should have been there saying, we do not accept this. We do not accept this. And that 6 months suspension would have been something different. The community should have said, no. No.
I would think, I would use a historical ratio to think about what happened in the aftermath of Rodney King. I believe the NAACP, the Urban League, and all of the civil rights organizations came together and they came up with the 10 Commandments. Telling the community at large, these are the things that we expect to happen as a result of Rodney King. The challenge that we have is that the NAACP will come out with a statement. The RLL will come out with a statement. The Urban League will make our statement. The Alliance for Civil Rights will make their statement. The ACLU will make their statement. Sometimes we go jointly. But then the community is reacting to what we say because they say, well, you guys and ladies are on point. But why can't we bring ourselves together to come up with a collective demand that we want to see happen? Now that means you hold the elected officials accountable. You can't have individual civil rights organizations doing anything because you said these are the demands that we want to see from the community. I agree with you that we do have a civilian review board that lacks the veto power, and I have been around for that, and I haven't seen one report on an annual basis to talk about what they've accomplished. So on paper, they sound good, but in reality, it's weak. And it's not a lot of the people, it's the process, that was the hand that they were dealt. So we need to find a more effective way that we can hear from our folks and forget our language, and we got to stop throwing bombs and tomatoes at each other because you disagree with what somebody says. Put it on the table and then we come up with a crystal clear plan and then we hold each other accountable to implementing and executing that plan.
Thank you. Mr. Shogun, I know that you have another engagement, so do you have any additional words that you want to leave with us before you exit?
He's staying.
He's already late.
I am. Just, I applaud this group in coming and covering this topic, and looking forward to more. And I am looking forward to the that list of demands that is coming out of this, that's coming out of this conversation tonight, and how we'll hold, because we have the opportunity twice this year, September and in November. For those of you that don't know, primaries and general election. That's one other way that civilians can make their voices heard, by the government, is coming out on election day and letting them know that you are here, and that you are not letting them get away with 6-month suspension.
Let me just add this. The timing of this mayoral election for you to come up with these commandments prior to the election. So there is a debate whenever your questions are asked and hold the elected official and candidate for mayors to hold them accountable to your demands. So if the fact that they get elected or re-elected, then they are held accountable to the words that they've agreed to while they're on the campaign trail. So you can't do it after the fact because there's no leverage. You do it on the front side. You can also make the demands that you want to have supply power for for the oversight committee, or what do you call them, the House Budget, Civilian Review, I think that's what they call it. We're doing our city, so we're going to start talking about it, blow away and come up with the demands that you want to see, get it to the right hand, and get agreement. Because as soon as we get agreement, then somebody else goes to City Hall, cut a different deal, and it undercuts what the community said they want to see. And so that point on, you're going to have Savannah and I, we're going to have a conversation with that person that's trying to undercut the community and have a brother-to-brother conversation or brother-to-sister conversation with her. So that's how we're going to eliminate this nonsense and this backbiting or backstabbing and rubber sniping. Get rid of all of that because the demands are on the table. It's not based on what I said. It's based on all of our input. That's how you can make a collective difference and be empowered.
And I want to thank you, Mr. Shagun, because I know you do have to leave, but for those who didn't know, he spearheaded and fought hard to make sure that we had the process of the police officers wearing cameras, the body cam. So thank you for that, and can we have some more conversation in the future?
We're September 12th. Thank you, Oprah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safe travels. So we have quite a few questions from the audience. Who other than the officer needs to be held accountable for this incident? Would you like to start, President Williams? Ms. Reed?
Who other than the officer needs?
Correct. Needs to be held accountable for this incident.
For the video?
Yes. And the culture that's currently conditioning the police department. So, like you said earlier, it's a culture.
It is a culture, and it's been in the police department, oh God, forever. It's the Girl Network. I'm sorry, it's, I don't know who. It's been around for a long time. When I got there in 1985, I mean, there were already there, but you feel uncomfortable. All I can say is it's the Good Old Boy Network, and nobody corrects them. It's there, it's understated, no one challenges them. So I don't know who's going to fix it. Because if they don't know anything like that, 6 months is not acceptable. It's not. What I want to say, Mapoli, Georgia had an officer who did a traffic stop. The woman was a white woman, and she was upset. And to calm her down and let her know that she was okay, he said to her, "You don't want to shoot black people." Now it took them a year, but they terminated him. And the chief said at the press conference, he said, "I don't know what's in his heart, but I know it came out of his mouth." Now, it took a year, but I said, the chief stepped up and made it clear. It's not about that officer. He didn't know what was in his heart, but I know it came out of his mouth. But he did know that they made that. I don't know what was in D'Angelo's heart, and I don't care. But I know he put on that there. This stuff, black people have made that. That spoke volumes to me. I don't know what he was in his heart, but I know he put on that there.
Thank you. President Williams, do you have any thoughts?
I had the good fortune of listening and reading the apology statement from Officer DeAngelis. And I have to say this, out of all due honesty, I accepted his apology, but he understood how upset we were, not only individually, but collectively as a community, and how hurtful it was. But when a person apologizes in our Christian-centric, it says that if I sin, and I go to God and confess my sins, and I ask God for forgiveness, if if somebody comes to me and asking for forgiveness and we say no, well, why should God forgive us if we can't forgive other people? In spite of how egregious it was. So I think it comes down on that line, once again, it's based upon what our experience is. But it can't be about how the police department treats me. So let me make a point real clear here. I have never ever walked around favoring how the police brass and the police treat me. The issue is that how does the police brass and the police treat the people who look like me? That's my focus has always been for 35 years of civil rights. How are they treating the people? I mean, so from that point forward, all those collective cases are in our heads, it's in our memories, it's in our spirit. We don't have to go to a class to tell people how we get treated by police officers as a black man, as a